Hello and welcome to Dad and Sons, the podcast that features dad and sons. And you guys, are you sons or dads? Have you made up your mind? And welcome to the latest episode, and a new episode that will feature the redemption of the Devil's Advocate.
Which is you.
Which is me. I am going to be redeemed and no longer castrated by this podcast or ostracized for my not love of Mario Odyssey. I don't know where people think I love Mario Odyssey for some reason. I'm just defending its game design. That's it.
It's the worst kind of video game argument. It's like people agreeing about something, but in the wrong ways.
I know, right?
That are apparently incompatible.
Wow, a game that George really does like, just that I like too, we just have a different opinion about it. Whereas Matt's just like, fuck you guys.
I'm really looking forward to doing that DLC. Anyways, let's get back to the intro.
So welcome to the Redemption episode where we will talk about Celeste. So, you know, I'm going to be right, which is going to be great. But we have me. I'm the redeeming one. I'm Liam. Hello. We have Matt.
Hi. I might sound weird because I have a grill in my mouth. It feels like a grill. It feels like when you go to the Halloween prop place and you put like those what you call those vampire fangs in your mouth.
Yes.
Ah.
I have aligners in my mouth right now, and that's what it feels like.
When you said grill, I was like, Matt, have you gone full cliche? Full cliche?
Yeah, full cliche, man.
Oh, yes. Man. That would be strange and amazing at the same time. And we also
That's going to be the next profile pic for YouTube's.
And we also have everyone's favorites. We shouldn't talk about anime or racist conversations anymore. It's Mr. George Weidman.
Hi, I fuck up everything.
Hello, George.
But it's not just me. We do have a special guest in.
We do.
Who could it be?
The second of all personal friends that I brought on this podcast is Kyle Giavelli this time.
Hello.
Hello. You go by the internet handle of Cute Monster Props. You work for Vulpin. You made some Jim Sterling props.
Yeah. So my day job is at Vulpin Props, where we make video game replicas as well as esports trophies. And then on the side, I have my own business with Cute Monster Props. And you might have seen something I've made. If you see Jim Sterling waggling around a cane, I made a couple of canes for him. More than one, in case he breaks one. And I make trinkets and figurines and things like that, mostly from the video game industry. But yeah, I like to make stuff. So I'm tangentially in the video game industry.
Are there any other props you might have made that people might have laid eyes on over the course of their time ravaging the internet for humor? Because stuff of yours shows up in really surprising places, including your work with Vulpin Props, like esports trophies, like stuff you might have laid hands on had millions of eyes laid upon it by proxy.
So yeah, for Vulpin Prop stuff, I think some of the recent things we've done, there was a Counter-Strike tournament in Cancun that we did a trophy for. It's this big jet engine. For BlizzCon, we did a bunch of trophies for Heroes of the Storm. For Hearthstone, that one was quite fun. It was called the Invitational, and the trophy was shaped like a big in window.
And
then
can you imagine winning a Hearthstone tournament after all that training and being given a window? Like, this is the crowning achievement of my existence. Here's a window.
The best thing was, though, that these companies usually use the trophy for marketing and advertising purposes. And so it's kind of a weird thing. Like, they don't always give it to the teams. They usually they'll etch the team name onto it and kind of keep it on hand. But lately we've
keep
been
it themselves.
I mean, they're the ones paying for it. But what they've been doing more lately is they will contract us to do, since we have the 3D files for the trophy, we'll do an additional tiny trophy and make 6 copies or so for them. or for the Invitational, we did pewter versions of the in-window and put a really nice lanyard around them that matched the color scheme, so that they had this cool emblem to wear in front of the bigger trophy that they didn't get to take home.
Blizzard cheaping out on people who've won their tournaments.
At least they got their dad humor game on point. Always nice to hear the prolific paragons of our society who are in charge of things like esports to know when to make a good pun when one is needed.
As far as my personal work, I know that for whatever reason I did I sculpted an Emil head from Near Gestalt, and I put it on a snowman and just tagged it Glory to Snowmankind, and the official Near Twitter retweeted that, and it blew up.
That's the famous Yoko Taro mask, correct?
Yes.
I remember that. Oh, it was so like converted motorcycle helmet, right?
No, actually, it's a 14-inch diameter streetlight globe originally, and I molded and cast it.
Oh my god!
That's not what
crazy.
I expected at all.
Where do you get something like that? Where do you order that, or do you just steal it off the street?
Okay, at my old apartment complex, I was very tempted.
Wow.
But no, it's you just find weird resources here and there. That one, for whatever reason, just if you need a acrylic dome for like a space helmet, Matt, if you're working on your Nuka Girl costume, check out 1000bulbs.com for all your acrylic globe needs.
So if you ever need to make a perfectly spherical headpiece, Kyle Javelli's your man.
Such a good name, Kyle Javelli.
It rolls.
Just rolls.
Smoothly.
Oh yeah, and you can see my Estus flask in the famed critical close-up Metal Gear Solid 4 video.
And you also made me a little sunlight medallion that I put on my trophy, and my Smash trophy that I think also has a Smash medal on it. Anyways, you were the first person to recommend me a video game that I think we all went out and played this week, and that is Celeste on the Switch.
Did you purposely bring Kyle on the show just to take the edge off my victory in this one? Is that what you did?
What do you mean
You
by
had not
take
mentioned
the edge off your victory?
you had not mentioned Celeste once until we spoke about it last week, and you're like, "Oh yes, yes."
So Celeste is a game that Liam was extremely excited about bringing up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a game that I bought after the podcast and have been going through myself.
And it sucks.
And I think it's like it's good.
Oh.
I'm just wondering if you might have like hyped it up a bit too much.
Where did you get to?
So I'm halfway through the level with Theo in the temple.
The temple.
So the start of the game.
That's the one with the
What?
red
No.
bubbles, right?
Yeah,
How many?
they're the
What
red bubbles.
chapter? You don't remember what chapter you're on? Just say a chapter.
I'm like 5 or 6 levels in.
Is that with the like cosmic? Is that the first time you experienced the cosmic like passageway things?
No.
I think those might have been. Those sound like the haunted hotel, which was cute, which is super cute.
Is that before or after? I can't remember.
No, that's
It's just after the
Three.
haunted hotel.
That's 3. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So is it 4? But it still seems fine. It didn't hook me for the entire 10-hour stretch like it got you. I've been playing like 1 hour or so a day on the bathroom. Yeah, actually, I looked back at my old
totally
text recommendations. That's how Kyle was pitching it to me. I remember the text message you sent me. The final sentence was like, "It's a good game for when you are pooping."
So wait a minute. Now hold up. Matthew suggests, toilet games to you, and you say, "Oh, poop particles. Don't bring a switch in there. Don't bring a switch in there." And now Kyle Javelli, the name that rolls off the tongue, the succulent steak.
That doesn't mean I'm
Matt,
not playing it while I'm pooping.
He can get you to bring your Switch inside the bathroom while you laying a deuce? Come on, man.
It's okay,
Matt, you didn't make a giant window.
It helps the poop particles flow out.
Matt, you did the hard job. I simply just came in after he had weakened. You know, he was in a weakened state. All I had to do was just throw it out there. Boom, it landed. But you did all the hard work.
What I've learned over the past year and a half of dealing with Matt's aversion to my aversion to poop particles is just not to mention it, because I still have it. Like Okay, I might have played my Switch on the toilet, I want to say 3 times since I bought it. But don't tell anyone else! And like, I still feel, like, uneasy when I do it. It's like a fight. Like, I have to struggle to bring my Switch in the bathroom.
Are you, like, even enjoying yourself when you do it, then? Are you like, playing Celeste and you're like... Oh.
Yeah, but it's like like enjoying myself at the onsen. I have to like fight an internal urge to not enjoy myself.
Do you have like tears? Like, oh man, this is gonna be a bad number 2. Let me not bring it in.
More
there.
like tears. Anyways, there's some trips that it might be better or worse left. It was a bad dad pun, but yeah, no, Celeste. Okay. It feels fine. It feels really good, actually. The pixel art is, like, animated well. It's not super, like, high resolution or anything. But the first thought I had when the camera, like, panned up from this low resolution, mostly static at the time during the opening scene, into a purely black sky with a quote of the character's internal monologue, I was just like, oh, this is the kind of indie game people make parodies of.
Oh, I don't know.
And I remember you introduced it as a game that some people will groan at.
Yeah.
And Theo's super cool. I freaking love that he has a plaid background on his thing. But I did groan every now and then. You did warn me. You did warn me.
I told you. But you grow to like it more. It's groan-worthy, but kind of in a forgiving way.
So what you're saying is it's a grow-worthy, groan-worthy.
Oh, shut up, George. It's like there are times when you groan, but it's never cringeworthy. It's
oh god,
the cringe is subjective. There's
it's
no
not like...
way to measure cringe with math, and well, I want to say that my cringeometer like bottomed out at a 4, but it definitely like hit the middle 8s at points.
I kind of liked it. I wouldn't say it kept me captivated the whole time. I didn't finish it because I had a lot of things to do, but I did play it before going to sleep. And of course, the occasional toilet. But it has like a nice balance of difficulty, and then sometimes you have the strawberries there if you want to push it up a little bit higher.
And my method was, if I can imagine a route to the strawberry, I'll give it a shot. That
was my initial playthrough. That if I'll have like one crack at the strawberry, and then if it feels like I could do it without spending half an hour, then I'll try and get it. But if it's like you look at it and you're just like, oh fuck that, I'm just gonna go past it for this one.
So did you end up coming back for those?
I would maybe do that on a level or 2 in the beginning, is try to get 100% of the strawberries. But I think some of the later stages, I only just did the level on the one playthrough and tried to be as thorough as possible. And I don't think too many of the strawberries are ultra hidden. I think you can get about 90% of them if you're perceptive, if you dash around corners and things like that. But I didn't go back, and I felt like I had a pretty rewarding experience just getting the ones I could find.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I went back...
I was, like, never frustrated or angry or anything. Like, difficulty balance, it's one of those games that, like, pretends to be hard.
Yeah.
But when it's in your hands, you're like, oh, I got this.
Yeah.
Girl, we good.
I told you.
The other reason I suggest it as a game that is good for pooping is because it's good at incremental advancements. It's a game where you can play it for maybe a few minutes just to beat a single screen, and it feels still pretty rewarding. Or you can play it for a couple hours and try and just beat the
Unlike
level.
Moons. But yeah.
Is Strawberries like the Moons for you, Matt? Is it like the better version of Moons?
Oh, that whole game is the better version of Moons. But yeah.
Moons?
Yeah,
You're not going to be trying out Luigi balloons?
Yeah, I mean, if you could drop, pick up a moon and just pick up where you left off without draining your battery, that would be great. But yeah, I quite like the screen thing. And it never felt like you looked at it and it looks intimidating, and then you do it and you're like, oh, okay, this is not it's not as hard as I thought it was going to be. It makes you feel like a badass.
Oh yeah, feeling like a badass.
What I really liked
lot.
about Celeste as well, especially going back to the strawberry thing, is that they playtested the shit out of this game, that they know exactly when to give you the strawberry. Like, it doesn't make you carry it throughout the whole of the level like I thought it would. It it makes you get it, and then it makes you pass like one section to get back to like where the quote unquote
like ground
normal
floor.
path
I remember
is.
wondering about that. Like,
and then
like
it would just like boop, and it would go away, and you'd be like, yes, I'm free. No more panicking.
Well,
I can just go.
Because it would be too easy just to grab it and die. They want you to actually be on stable
No.
ground before
I mean,
you grab it.
I mean like you don't have to get it and then carry it all the way to the end of the level. Like sometimes you would get it, and then all you would have to do is maybe trek back to the normal path, like what would be the normal path, and then it just like boop, gives you the 1,000 points, and then you can just carry on with the level. Then instead of getting back to the normal path and then dying on the normal path, restarting at the start of the level, and then having to get the strawberry again. It's pretty
Also,
good.
That
like
1,000 points is super satisfying, even though there's
it does nothing.
I was wondering about that as a game developer. Like, Liam, what do you think they did to flag what areas count as a safe zone and what doesn't? Do you think it was just pure playtesting, like those safe
over and
waypoints
over
are
again,
manually placed?
Is like once you've got the strawberry, is it too risky? Do you have to take risks to get back to like safety or towards the end of the level? Do you have to take massive risks, or do you have to do a tiny bit of skill to navigate what you've already been through? Because it's almost always like backtracking. Like you have to like maybe double jump, or you have to use one of the mechanics to get the strawberry, and then you would have to maybe like jump like 3 or 4 times to get back onto the normal path. And I think it was more like risk versus reward kind of thing, and not being like, now you have the strawberry, you have to fucking like do what you did to get the strawberry again.
But in the other direction.
Like, it's like learning. So you learned how to get it, so you can easily go back, but then you would have to maybe do the level that you've not done yet. Because if you're trying to get the strawberry, you've not attempted to actually complete the level.
And sometimes it'll let you suicide your way out.
You would get the strawberry, and then you would have to be like, okay, now I have to try and complete the level that I've not even attempted yet without dying because I'll lose the strawberry. So it's more like it just like allows you to have it, and it's like, okay, let's just mitigate the damage and kind of make sure the player sticks with this without feeling punished. So yeah, just extensive playtesting over and over again.
I think it follows a set number of rules too, like anything that counts as a sort of a movable platform isn't solid ground, but anything that's part of like the generic tile set of the level does.
One thing that I was really surprised by is how elegant it apparently was able to do a story, but for Meat Boy. Like, for a highly technical, super mechanics-driven, arcade, side-scroller action game, they have a lot of breaks for story scenes that make sense, that create cool set pieces. Like Oshiro chasing you through the house, like becoming a big boss monster. Yeah, it seemed like a lot of levels ended with boss fights that started out as like stories rather than mechanics on the design dock, I'm guessing. And I was surprised by that because the repetition and the sheer amount of player deaths people usually endure with these things is something that I wasn't expecting to be as compatible with the story involving characters that seem relatively realistic, but they strangely do. This mountain full of spikes and death traps and pits is like a Canadian resort town or something.
Yeah.
Right.
In a weird, like, metaphysical way as well, seeing that you've died 3,000 times and not got angry once is like some sort of spiritual epiphany as well. Like, I died 3,000 times at this game. I have never died 3,000 times at anything unless it's like Dark Souls, but not once did I get angry. Is this like the spiritual journey of the Celeste Mountain that I've been on?
I must be at peace.
I think the only time I got angry at a number of deaths is when I finished a level and it said you died 416 times, and I'm like, God, no, it couldn't have just died 4 more times.
I had a friend over
It's so close.
for a couple sessions, and I enjoyed seeing that number increase when I was trying to play the game and talk at the same time. Like, I did about 2 levels in front of her, and when I was looking at my statistics, I was like, wow, I died 300 more times on these than the other 2.
So, George, have you done any of the B-sides yet?
I've glanced at one of them and noped the fuck out of there. But Kyle, you apparently did them. You sent me a text when I was when I was getting you set up here, saying that you did all the B-sides. No, I wasn't. I don't use my electronics in the bathroom unless I'm playing a really good game.
The only way to do the B-sides.
Actually, George, we have audio proof that you do. It's the start of this podcast.
But I did it like 3 times, and it's a thing that I'm trying to like prevent and fight, and there's like mental hang-ups.
Do you read like magazines while pooping? Are you worried about?
I sometimes read my cell phone.
That's an electronic device.
Yeah, that's poop particles.
But I get self-conscious
that's one you carry around like everywhere.
I always thought that you just went to poop and you used it as time for meditation or something. You know?
Usually, yeah.
Just kind of think about the state of the world.
Well, what am I going to do when I get out of the bathroom?
Yeah.
That also
We have
works.
quite literally shit on Kyle boasting about having done the B-sides.
Kyle, you did all the B-sides, you monster.
You cute monster?
No, I finished... you beat the game, and then there's a final level you can get if you've found a number of unlockables. And then that has its own B-side if you do all of the B-sides and get all of the the crystal hearts. The strawberries don't really do anything. They just give you a little bonus at the end.
They're just for
I wonder
telling
about
your
that
friends you got
bonus.
'em.
Like, because Matt and George haven't finished it. But Kyle, do you think if you didn't get any strawberries, you wouldn't get that bonus? Because it's the end of the game.
Well, no, I'm just there's just a picture that changes and some dialogue depending on how many strawberries you got. And there is actually an instance if you don't get any strawberries, the game points that out.
I mean, it's not a massive spoiler. I won't say it anyway.
You make a strawberry cake and it really sucks.
Oh no!
It was so worth it.
Or excuse me, a strawberry pie.
Strawberry pie, yeah.
Spoiler. The B-sides though. Has anyone else done them?
I've done 2 of them, but that's it. I can't even find the cassettes. Finding the cassettes is fucking hard enough.
I needed help on a couple of them, but some of them, they can be pretty tricky. I get anxious if I get too far in a level and I haven't seen a tape deck yet.
You're one of those. You're like, oh my god, wait a minute. Did I miss something?
I have to restart.
I just want to get the B-side without having to go to find a guide or something.
It's a good game. I want to play it now.
How's the difficulty tuned on those B-sides? Were they too hard, or were they just right?
So, on an average stage, I'd die maybe 200 plus times. And then on a B-side, I'd die probably about 400 plus times. So, I guess they're twice as hard.
Do they take twice as long?
No, they're a bit shorter because they don't. With the exception of one level, they're pretty much completely linear. So it's more just heightening the challenge of the platforming to its logical conclusion.
Excellent. And the logical conclusion is something that is very, very elegant, distilled, compressed.
I enjoy a Meat Boy here and there, but I think what really grabbed me about Celeste was that you can look through a level with like those binoculars and see, all right, I need to jump here, dash there, hold B at the end of the warp tunnel so I get an extended jump, backdash off of that, hit the glass gem and things like that, to where you can kind of plan out your whole run before you've hit the jump button.
And there's just about one kind of level design gimmick per level that gets increasingly complicated as you go through. It's very much built in the Braid tradition of theming every level off of a new placeable gimmick that like futzes with your character's own core abilities itself. Like the bubbles give you an extra dash. The like cosmic black Cthulhu goop continues your dash in one direction until you hit a wall. And there's like plates that react to your dashes. Everything's kind of connected to your dash in a very elegant, simple way that's cleanly telegraphed. And I guess I appreciate that, but
you get
but
exactly
these days
what I
I'm
was
looking
saying
for more complex stuff.
You get what I was saying about last week, where it has one mechanic and then it just iterates on that mechanic throughout the whole game, which is what makes it so simplistically special at the same time. Like, you get the dash ingrained in you, so when there are small changes to it, you can deal with them so easily. It's not like learning a whole new gameplay mechanic. It's just like, oh, this thing I know how to do really well. Now if I do this a little bit, the outcome of what will happen will change a little bit. And that's super smart.
I've missed games like this, I guess.
It's funny because I played Towerfall on the weekend with some friends, like a board game party thing, and we played a bit of Towerfall, and obviously that's Matt Makes Games sort of big success before
that's
Celeste.
Me. That's me.
Yeah, Matt, do you make games? Matt, did you make Celeste?
Yeah, I actually did. I didn't want to brag about it. That's why I didn't say anything.
Matt, you're a fucking genius.
I know, right?
You made Towerfall too? Matt, did you make Towerfall too?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Why are you wasting your time recording a
hard?
podcast when you've got millions of dollars in the bank?
I know, right? It's because I love you guys. It's 'cause I love you guys. Yeah.
Not only is Matt the developer, but he's also the voice of Madeline. So whenever you hear that, that's Matt.
Matt with his grill in his mouth.
That's the sound it makes when you have too much grill in your mouth.
Oh my god.
Is it time to transition over into stories?
Let's all fly to Japan right now.
Is that like a?
Are you doing it?
Is that like a reference to we're going to speak about anime,
so
or the fact that
server?
Or the fact that Discord is bullshit?
Yeah, Discord's been giving us some technical issues, but in the meantime, on the way there, Matt, why do you have a grill in your mouth?
Okay, so I understood that you guys didn't really understand what I was saying. I have aligners in my mouth. So you know braces?
Yeah.
Think about invisible braces. They're called Invisalign. Is like the brand.
My god, fuck Invisalign, man. When I was a kid, Invisalign was rubbing it in so hard because I had like regular braces and they hurt and they sucked and everyone made fun of me for them, and I'd go home and watch Dragon Ball Z on Toonami, and Invisalign would be like, hey, poor kids, do you want to have your teeth fixed but not endure the consequences that we don't have to deal with? Here, have Invisalign.
Invisalign is like Super Saiyan braces.
I didn't even know what these were, and I'm looking at pictures of them, and I was the same as George. I had those clunky ass fucking, like someone had smacked me with a wheelchair and it melded with my teeth. And now I'm looking at these like invisible ass like rugby guards. Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, they're not as expensive anymore as they used to be. Like, you know, it used to be like double the
Oh
cost.
yeah,
and stuff.
it was a real
Flaunting
like
those
class
Towerful
conflict.
bucks.
The poor kids and the rich kids in elementary school were at each other's throats over those things.
Well, that's why I have a job, because I have insurance now. So I'm going to use the hell out of it, even though I hate my job. I mean, I love my job.
Matt, we'll get onto your job soon enough.
Invisalign. Invisalign is a brand, kind of like, you know, Polaroids where it was not the actual, you know, flash paper or whatever you want to call it back in the day. So they're called aligners. So I just got aligners. I didn't go with the name brand Invisalign. So they're just a little bit cheaper.
Just
but
a
yeah,
little
that's
bit.
in. I got them yesterday. My teeth are slightly hurting, and supposedly I'm gonna have a lisp until you can hear it now. Lisp.
I was going to say, because I was trying to listen to see if there was like any noticeable inflections in your voice, but it's pretty solid. It's pretty like as normal.
Supposedly you get used to it after a while, and then your voice goes back. I can hear it because I guess I'm used to my voice, but like the
You're just like
S's,
sitting on a chair all day and just like listening to yourself. You're like, now I have a lisp. This is gonna be painful. Sorry for anyone who has a lisp. I did not mean to offend you then.
Oh no, I didn't even think about that. We love
All
you
of our lisp listeners just
Lisp
dropped
listeners.
instantly.
Matt, can you say lisp listeners for me?
Lisp listeners.
That was
Hey,
fine.
Yeah, I you might make it through this.
I will.
So how long are they giving you? What's your
supposedly
estimated time of arrival?
He's not gonna die, is he?
Hopefully not. I mean,
This is what happens. Aligners are a bit
Invisalign.
faster than braces because you get to put them in every 2 weeks. So supposedly less than a year, which is way better than 2 years. I was quoted from before, from a couple people. Man, some orthodontists are like they really want to stick their hand down your pocket, man. Get in your
shove
wallet.
their copays down your throat.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we don't do that. I found like a really nice guy who's like shaves your teeth and like, like if any cracks and stuff, like it's great. It's great. But yeah, less than a year, and I'll have straight teeth. I've been wanting to do this since I was young, but when I was young, I was poor, and now I'm still poor, but I have a little bit more money.
Oh my god, yeah, I just realized, like, when I was a kid and the rich kids and the rest of us were having our fights over Invisalign, like, that would have been in the, like, fairly well-to-do suburbs, so...
Yeah.
I mean, everyone had braces. It's weird to think about that. Had I grown up someplace different, that schoolyard fight would have been a different one. Anyways...
What? That schoolyard fight? That schoolyard fight?
There was some tension and like the second you mentioned Invisalign, you just opened up so many old wounds.
We're gonna dissect that a little bit later.
It was a precious resource that the kids had to fight over.
George is forced to face a dark side of himself with purple hair and red eyes.
So I did something way out of my element, and that was following up on a fan request. A fan on the Discord sent me a code for a 1-day free trial on Crunchyroll with a recommendation. The cartoon in particular, I know they don't like that word, was called Yuru Camp, and I think... Okay, here on the Dad and Sons podcast, we've said some embarrassingly wrong things about Star Citizen. We've said some embarrassingly wrong things about Bitcoin and Chinese history, and now I'm guessing that I'm going to say a bunch of embarrassingly wrong things about the purposes, point, and style of these moe animes. So Eurocamp translates to laid back camp. It's a show in which tiny girls,
The character designs look really cute.
go camping and go bicycling, and the fan who recommended it to me picked it off of the list out of my known habits for outdoorsmanship. Like I do bicycle touring and camping a lot. And in the show, the tiny girls basically go through the motions of regular camping trips, while the narrator sometimes gives the viewer tips on how to make their campfires better, or how to make their camp cooking better, or how to pitch a tent and have it sturdier. And they sometimes go back to the school and have a bit of school drama about if their outdoors activities club is doing well or not. But most of the time, they're just in the woods giving the viewer tips on how to camp good. And I'm guessing that these things are made to be halfway paid attention to. It's very placid, very quiet, and a lot of times they'll just cut to some vista that the artist paid particular attention to for outdoorsy scenes. And in between then, though, it's like a very quiet, meditative, high-pitched girl cooing through the motions of some activity you might be doing in a few weeks or so later in real life. And I'm wondering if like these things are built to cater to people going through phases of interests, like if like it's a companion piece to the hobby of outdoorsmanship and camping and bike touring, rather than a piece intended to hold up by the merits of its own story alone.
You know what slice of life is, right?
Is that what this is?
So this is like it sounds like a slice of life anime. So there is this whole sort of genre de gras of anime that's called slice of life. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't necessarily have like certain themes, but shows like the one you're describing that maybe focus on this very specific thing that is kind of like a normal thing about life. Like, you know, maybe a hobby or an interest that the main character has or something, and they just sort of kind of explore that while nothing really happens. They just have normal day-to-day stuff. That's a slice of life anime.
I for what it's worth, I didn't hate it. I feel like I consumed it as intended by like rolling around on the bed, having it running on a tablet while I was chatting in Discord, kind of like jumping in and out of it as it was going on. Wow. And it was very like soothing and a it tries its darndest to be really, really cute. And there's so many genres of concepts of anime. There's just like tiny girls do something
I don't get it.
that you wouldn't expect. Yeah, okay.
How do people watch things like that? Like, oh yeah, I watched this show. Oh, but I watched it while like, I don't know, jacking off to point like no, you don't multitask.
There's a very particular subset of cartoons for that.
Yeah. I'm sure they have
if you're gonna watch something, you watch it. You can't like give a review on something if you didn't actually
I used to be like
your
that
eyes
too. And then I had to confront the possibility of sitting down and paying attention to Yuru Camp. And it's so quiet and so placid and meditative and peaceful that I'm pretty sure that if I consumed it like that, I'd be doing it wrong. Like it's well, there's a lot of kabuki that's like meant to be consumed while half asleep, right? Or Liam, am I wrong about that?
I am of the mind that if I'm going to watch anime, I'm going to watch anime. I can't do two things at the same time with subtitle stuff. I hate missing things and the thing is, I can watch probably a show like Yuru Camp and understand most of it if it's pretty non-slangy. So I could probably have it on in the background and kind of get the gist of what's happening. But even then, because I don't 100% fully understand what's being said, I have to pay attention to it. I can't watch anime and not pay attention.
I would love
subtitles and language.
You know what would trigger me, Liam? Tell me if I'm pronouncing this right. Whatever that one is. Whatever that one is.
Perfect. First try. You got it.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. What would trigger me is him watching that while doing something else. Like, just impossible. It is impossible.
Well, that one's like a heavier like kind of more of a drama, right?
It is so heavy. Like it's heavy while you're watching it. Like it's just so much words on the screen at one time.
Yeah.
See, when I will watch anime with the English dub on the background when I'm in a workshop because I don't have time to consume anime regularly. If it is something that's heavier, yeah, I'll sit down and watch it. But like stuff like My Hero Academia, I was able to get through because there's a plot, but like you just kind of look up every once in a while, see some boys punching. And
hey, whoa! Let's not talk shit about Boku no Hero Academia.
I love My Hero Academia.
Okay, that's good.
But just the only way I was able to consume it on a regular time schedule was to have it on in the background in English.
Yeah, I can totally get where you're coming from because my anime consumption since moving to Japan has like almost become like 10% of what it used to be. Just because I'm busier and being in Japan, as we've sort of spoken about on the show before, kind of I feel like I'm by osmosis consuming it just because I see it everywhere. So I kind of just know what's happening in anime world and fandom anyway. So, but actually, like, watching it, I have to, like, sit down and put time aside, and that's kind of just difficult to schedule in anime. But it has been kind of weird seeing everyone suggest all of these shows to George, and there's so many shows that I've watched in the past, like, someone today suggested Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann, and now I just want to go back and watch Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann.
I like how you call it Timentaka Gurren Lagann and not just Gurren Lagann.
Well, you know.
That's how you know
TTGL,
you're legit.
Gurren Lagann.
You're more hardcore than us normies.
Well, you know, they have the movies now that sort of...
George, please watch the movies. Please watch the 2 Gurren Lagann movies. Please.
Okay.
Like, you liked
My
Redline's
anime
animation.
For this week, I did, and the Redline has me wanting to
like,
see
Gurren
more.
Lagann has amazing animation for anime. Redline is, like, the exception to, like, that's just of another world levels of animation. But the movie 2 of Gurren Lagann, the animation towards the end is so good. It's so good. Please watch it.
What was it? Some absurd number where they spent, like, the majority of their animation budget on the last, like, 3 to 4 levels. Or episodes, excuse me. Video games.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
Gurren Lagann is so good. George, please watch the 2 movies.
I want to step up to plate. I think I have an anime suggestion that George might like.
Can I just quickly, before we move
how-
on from Yuryu Camp, can I just quickly mention, after looking up the main characters and what they look like, doesn't the main character look strangely like Madeline from Celeste?
Let's see the purple. Yeah, I mean, I guess,
The one
but
with the
as
pink
like
hair.
a generic anime
In her,
girl
like, little
version.
mountain jacket and scarf.
She looks ready to climb, I guess. I don't know. She looks like a lot of other characters I'm sure I've seen, but she's got the mountaineering outfits on. Kyle, you were gonna step up to the plate, correct?
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm trying to gauge what you enjoy. It seems like you like things that are both serious but don't take themselves too seriously.
Yes. He likes garbage.
I do like garbage.
JoJo didn't hit it off for you, which is fine.
Well, I'm giving it another shot because I didn't watch it all the way to the 10th episode to get to part
also,
2
like,
when it
it
gets
has-
good.
Some people are purists and say you have to watch it sequentially, but there are different arcs that have drastically different themes. So, like, if you don't like Victorian vampires punching each other, you can do Indiana Jones, or you can do Around the World in 80 Days, or you can do Junji Ito slice of life stories. Just whatever floats your boat. But no, the anime I think you would like is Kaiji. Has anyone else seen it?
Kaiji, I've heard of it. Is that the gambling
anime
guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
The art style is very unique for that one.
I like his nose.
It's very much a little bit of education on game theory, and a lot bit of characters overreacting to very mundane gambling moves with the most extreme odds on them.
So does a narrator butt in every now and then and like
Oh
give
my
you
god, the
tips on
narrator butts in
gambling?
all the time. One of my favorite scenes of the whole show is he gets a really bad roll in a dice game in a debtor's prison, and and the character Kaiji shouts, "I hate it," and the narrator goes, "He hates it." Kaiji goes again, "I hate it," and the narrator goes again, "He hates it."
That sounds like the kind of situation where a record would scratch and they'd be like, "You might be wondering how I got in this situation."
That's the whole anime.
Losing a bad debt or a bad bet in a debtor's prison is a situation that we don't want to condone our listeners to find themselves in.
And Kaiji will teach you how to pull defeat from the jaws of victory.
So does it do the Eurocamp thing where the focus is on the gambling activity itself more than the characters?
Not really, but there's a lot of game theory involved. Like, I think it's an easy show to recommend because the first couple episodes set up an interesting premise where characters are on this cruise. Kaiji is in a spot of trouble because he co-signed a lease that someone defaulted on. And he's on a cruise that basically you're either going to go to this labor camp and work it off, or you are going to win this game that you're gambling at to potentially make more money, or lose more money that you have to pay off. And the game is rock, paper, scissors, but you have 5 cards of each suite, rock, paper, scissors, and you basically play a game of rock, paper, scissors with someone else using the cards you have. And once you use them up, you can't use those cards again for the rest of the cruise. So it sets up these scenarios in which there are actual statistical odds and winning strategies. And part of like the fun is trying to figure out the mystery of what the best move is.
Man,
And
Japan and Junkin. They base a whole flipping episode of TV around it. Ugh. I play that game far too much. Oish.
Hearing the bits about game theory, I bet would actually really get me going. It's like mitigating risks and mitigating risks. Is that what I just said? Mitigating risks in high pressure situations.
A lot of Kaiji is all about down to explaining, from what I've heard anyway, explaining sort of how to read your opponent and not get lucky. Kind of do your best, even in games of chance, to pull it your way. And it sort of delves into that, I believe. It's kind of...
Yeah. A lot of... It'll kind of take you through every scenario you could have in a gambling situation based on the premise. So, he'll learn like, oh, this is the first smartest move I should use just based on the pure numbers. And then, oh, if my opponent has any idea of what they're doing, that is a terrible idea. And he'll have to sort of go through a complete cycle of fully understanding this tactical gambling scenario.
And are they completely over narrating every little bit of this process, or is there like at least a little subtlety to it? That's actually one thing I kind of liked about Euro Camp, is that the narrator was less there for overreacting to stuff that's already been said and more to give tips to the activities that have not already been said. It didn't do that thing anime does where it like repeats stuff a lot.
It's hard to say. I haven't watched it since like 2009. But it's very much an anime about overreacting to things.
Oh, god damn it.
I wanted to ask, though.
Yes.
I gave it a week. Has anyone here watched Black Panther? Like, what the fuck?
Yes, I have.
I'm watching it.
Now,
on
have you
Friday
watched Black
because
Panther?
Japan is slow.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, but I'm going to
What
see it
do
on
you think,
Friday.
Kyle? Oh, okay. I got to go see it again because I need to get another opinion.
So, Matt, were you able to go to like a premiere or
No, I got
more just kind of on your leisure?
Yeah, just a day after it came out.
Okay. I have a number of friends that in the Austin area that went to a big premiere, and they all wore dashikis, and I think an acquaintance of mine even got like a custom tailored kente cloth for it, and went like all out.
You go to the movie theater and they're like, "Oh, what are you gonna see?" You know what I'm here to see.
Got a
Have you seen my
on the
grill?
side of my shoulder.
What did you think?
Oh, it was. It's interesting because if just the base elements of it, it's kind of just a superhero movie, but the cinematography was really good, the score was phenomenal, and just the character depth really. Oh, it's like a lot of people I've talked to have said that it seemed like it's just a standard movie, and then Killmonger shows up and is this really, really compelling villain in a way that Marvel movies don't seem to capture. Like I'm hard pressed to even call him a villain. He's more just a foil.
Yeah, it felt unfocused in the beginning, and then it kind of found its way in the middle there. It ended up being an okay movie for me. I feel like I do have to watch it again. But my gosh, like everyone is saying such high praise about it, and then I watched it and I'm like, I don't know if it's the best Marvel movie I've watched. I mean, Ragnarok was pretty freaking.
I was gonna say
good
I haven't seen it yet,
like
but
it's pretty freaking good.
It's
you know
Ragnarok was pretty fucking awesome. So
I think the characters in Black Panther were amazing. Probably some of my favorite characters.
Yeah, like Shuri stole the show.
Yeah. Oh my god. Like.
Yeah, Black Panther's sister is amazing and spunky.
Yes.
And full of sass.
Full of sass. I like that. I'm looking forward to watching it. The internet's been sort of obsessed with Michael B. Jordan as well as Black Panther.
Speaking of anime.
Yeah,
he's been good since Chronicle. I don't know what y'all talking about. I'm going to be the hipster here and say,
dude, Creed was amazing. So that guy's
shouldn't
got
have died
chops.
in Chronicle.
Well, a trailer literally dropped just last night where he's in an HBO, I don't know if it's a series or movie, but Fahrenheit 451, starring him.
That's really good. I'm so glad that he's getting some stuff now. So happy. My God, I it's one of those actors where it's like, man, please. He's been in such good things, and they're all like low-end films that no one really talks about at all. And then he gets like into a superhero movie, and all of a sudden he's on every TV, everywhere. That's crazy.
Did that not happen after Creed? Because Creed was like,
no,
amazing.
It's not as much as Black Panther.
It's not as much
man.
Because this is a Marvel film, but
like it just exploded after Marvel, especially because like all the political stuff and all that, like it just exploded. I don't know. I think I need to watch it again to see how his performance was, but I think I preferred his performance in other films. But I don't know. I thought it was good. I thought it was good at least. Just not the best one. Yeah, I'm trying not to spoil the movie.
Yeah,
here,
let's draw a line.
Yeah.
I've been taking a backseat because I really did not have any plans to see Black Panther.
Of course, George wouldn't.
George.
I'm basing that off of
George.
A general fatigue of superhero movies.
Yeah, right.
That's all.
Right.
What? What's everyone laughing about?
Why did I feel I just knew George didn't watch Black Panther? I don't know. It's just like this feeling. You just get that from George, you know?
What feeling?
Nothing. Nothing. No. Well, let's move on. We talked about Black Panther for a while. For good.
What feeling?
5 minutes. That's enough. Black Panther.
What feeling though?
Let's go racing! It's Super Mario Kart Funny Car Madness! Only on Super NES! Turn the track into a giant mud pit! Or burn rubber on ice, wood, or asphalt! Mix it up with the big boys! See Bowser in his Bigfoot dropping truck! See Yoshi's go-kart really go! Mushrooms, banana peels, turtle shells! Dynamite! Check your rear view and make him eat dust! Or go into battle mode and ruin his day! 2 speeds! Fast and way too fast! It's 2-player fun on the split screen! Only for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System! Now you're playing with power, superpower!
Hello, and welcome to the roommate corner once again.
Got such a sexy voice sometimes, Matt.
Yeah, you're really good at
When
that.
you really put it on, it's like, ooh, my loins, they linger.
All right, so it's nothing too crazy. It's gonna be short and sweet. Okay,
well,
now
you're talking
I
about
have
the
a
roommate,
list.
right?
Context,
Like him now.
contextualize.
Yes.
Isn't
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
crazy? I have a list now. We're like the same people now.
A list of what?
A lisp. I have a lisp like him. A lisp.
A lisp? A
lisp.
lisp of a grocery a lisp.
I thought George was taking the piss on purpose.
And I know people want to hear more about what happened. So I was
Context,
at work.
Matt. Context.
What happened about what?
Context what? All right. Hey, if you haven't listened to the other podcasts, I don't know how to deal with you, man.
No, the
You gotta
tweet,
listen
the
to other
tweet, the
podcasts.
tweet,
All right,
Matt.
so- all right. Real quick. I was looking for roommates before I decided to get in my own apartment. There was an ad for a platonic, a male roommate, looking for a male roommate with platonic nudity, just thrown in there, right? On the ad. Looking for a male roommate, some platonic nudity. I was like, okay. I went to go see him. He showed me around the apartment. It was dirty. It was nasty. We had, we talked before. He knew that I worked at this place because obviously that's what you do. You talk about where you work, and people are like, oh, why did you tell him where you work? What do you mean? What do you mean? He's got to know that I work, right? What? Okay, anyways. He's a developer, by the way. I don't know if I ever said that. He can't tell me where he works and I don't tell him where I work. That's just,
Developer of what?
you gotta have some type of trust. So now that's all done. If you want details, go back and listen to the other podcast. I was at work.
Epic saga.
The saga. I was at work and I was, I just got done dealing with a customer. And I see a guy, a short black dude, slight limp, in a full suit with a suitcase.
With a
Recognize
suitcase.
him with clothes on.
Wow.
And then he turned a little bit to the right. I saw the corner of his face, and I'm like, I told my coworkers. So my coworkers have been making fun of me, like, oh, he's gonna come here, bro. He's gonna come here. Yeah, he's gonna come here. Like,
God,
they're
dude.
already so ready to laugh at me. So I'm already on edge about it. So, but I was like, nah, he's not gonna come. I see the side of his face, like, and I'm going in his direction. I was like, oh shit. And then I just went to the right a little bit while he was turning to the left, right behind him. And I think for a second he saw me around the corner like a ghost. In those films where you see like your dead loved one, and he walks across the room and you don't really see if it's actually him. I think that's what happened with him. So I run across and I quickly go in the back. And then he starts hanging around. Okay, and I tell him, I was like, bro, tell me, is he out there? I was like, it's very easy. Short, black dude, slight limp, okay? He talks like he's French with a little lisp, all right? Full suit on, not naked. And he's like, oh, yeah, he's talking with the general sales guy. Okay. Oh, he's hanging out in the magazines. I'm like, okay. 20 minutes passed by. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to have to deal with it. I go out there, help a customer. I'm like, okay, maybe he's gone. And then all of a sudden, right when I was about to leave the front end of the store, he comes up to the left and glances in my direction, and I was like, no.
Direction.
I'm not gonna lie, it looks like high school, and I was a kid again. I just did a brisk walk straight through some doors and got away from him. I'm hoping that he just walked out the store at that point. And that was the end of that. I did not want to have a conversation with him about, you know, how you doing? Because this guy, you know, was texting me after the fact I saw his place. And I said, oh, I'll let you know in a week. And he started texting and trying to have a conversation with me. This, like, after the fact, about random stuff, tech stuff. And I'm like, yo, we don't know each other. I'm not trying to get to know you, bro. I don't know. He must have saw the goods and wanted to see it one more time. I don't think this will be the last time I might see him again. But let's just hope he's a nice dude. Let's just hope. All right. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it.
I'm sure he will. I mean, what's the worst? Okay, if he follows you to your store, I'm sure it's not exactly like it's that far out there of a coincidence. Was he looking into building like parts? Was he there for a purpose? Did he just browse or just hang out?
He didn't have anything in his head when he came up to their front.
Huh.
So,
and
when he was talking to me, he was talking about like 20 different things. He was just asking me random stuff. And then, you know, asking me like how the move was going and everything like that. And I was like, I just stopped texting him after a while. Just like, no, this is not okay. This is not okay. I'll let you know. We're not friends. We're not friends. I'm sorry. I'm a friendly guy, but we're not.
I wonder how many people came to look at his apartment.
I'm pretty sure because
Just
all the
one.
good ones get snatched up, bruh. All the good ones get snatched up. This guy is probably still looking. Okay.
I want to know what's in the briefcase.
Yeah, the suit also.
Yeah, the suit is like a
He's
red
a
herring.
developer, he said. Developers wear suits?
No, like in this day and age, like a tech company wearing suits? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Like a housing developer? I don't know. No, after that
No,
apartment story.
he's like a developer for a site. He like sent me the link.
Really?
It's weird. All of it was weird.
Weirdroommates.com.
There are layers.
That
There are
is so
layers to
weird.
this.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I want it to end, guys. I want it to end. I hope this was boring for you guys. You this is not happening again. This is not happening.
You took a bullet for us, Matt. We appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have
Few artists have suffered as much for their art.
as awkwardly glancing at a man in a suit as you have.
So,
The man in the suit.
to push things along from one awkward topic to another, we are currently in the midst of a very minor moral panic about video games following the wake of a school shooting, which regularly happens. This time, I mean, I think I remember after Sandy Hook, you had the NRA guy, Wayne LaPierre, come up and say video games are bad. Everyone was like, no, you're full of shit. This time we have a Rhode Island politician. Robert Nardolillo III is a Republican member for the Rhode Island State House who has proposed a piece of legislation that basically levies an additional 10% sales tax on violent video games in an attempt to send that money towards mental health care services, which is a different tactic from the previous moral panics of earlier. However, still the kind of thing that just feels like absolutely beating a dead horse. There's quotes from him saying that there's evidence that children exposed to violent video games at a young age tend to act more aggressively than those who are not, which is not necessarily true. It's up to arguments depending on studies that like find a link between aggressive attitudes but not real life behavior. It's, I don't know, more or less similar to getting pumped for an athletic event by listening to a song. There's no bodies of research that do connect video games to real-life violence, and the idea of wanting to funnel taxes for luxury over to mental health care sounds noble and everything until you consider that countries that have a lot of video games don't have the same school shooting problem that the US does. It's really just us.
I just don't get it. You'll put a 10% tax on things that feature fake weapons that you use to have a noble ambition to fund some mental health research, but you won't put a 10% tax or even just straight out ban real life weapons and then research some more about mental health. Like, what the fuck is going on? It's so ridiculous. Oh, just like groan. America.
We've gone through this before.
It's just unbelievable how some of these people think. As you said, there have been no actual studies that have ever proved the link between violent video games and, one, like, violent behavior, and two, even more specifically, a school shooting. But there has been links between school shootings and real-life fucking guns. It's
yeah, don't get distracted, kids. Keep making your calls.
It's just an easy scapegoat, unfortunately.
That's the idea.
You have to just filter the stuff out.
I grew up on some horrible stuff too. Like I don't think about guns at all. That's, oh my God, it's just so weird to think about. Like I grew up on Call of Duty, Gears of War.
But you can watch like
maybe I process things
movies
differently, and they're talking about children that just process things differently. Is that what the case is?
I just don't know, because like you watch violent movies and like, you know, Game of Thrones is like the most watched TV show in the world, and it features beheadings and rapes and prostitution.
I think the problem here is the interactive part of the game.
But just how much of that is like
you're pressing the trigger,
watching a visual, visual representation of it. Like,
yeah. Oh boy.
Oh boy, indeed.
For what it's worth, I have doubts about how likely it would be for this legislation to pass. I mean, especially since this thing's being written up and submitted by a Republican who are usually all about campaigning against regulating businesses and raising taxes, usually. So this might very well be a bit of pandering for the scared old people who have done this countless times, but not countless, probably like a good 18 times before. Because there's been 20, something like 20 big deal school shootings since Columbine, and I grew up with them all, and it sucked, and it sucks having video games get blamed for it every time. But for kids who aren't used to this, get used to it. This is becoming a permanent institution of American politics, is the video game moral panic. Maybe when we're like another 10 years older and they're 10 years older, we might finally see this thing go away. Because, like, Liam, did you hear? Wait, no, they have moral panics in Europe. They're a little different.
Okay, so
because you already got like gun control, so gun control's not really part of those debates.
So we had a shooting in the UK, and it was in Scotland, and it happened, I believe in the early 90s or late 80s. I have actual no idea when it took place. It took place around then, and after that, there was just like such change and gun reform in the UK, even though it's difficult to get hold of guns in the UK, as is anyway. And so much so that I have lived in the UK, I've lived in Japan, I have never seen or fired a gun, a real gun, in my entire life. In my entire life, I bet, have all three of you seen a gun before?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've seen
many
it
times
in a cop's holster.
Very close.
Have you just seen someone walking
Texas.
down the street carrying one?
Yes.
That to me is just like medieval bullshit. That's so crazy. Like, that's like samurai walking around with swords, but crazy. Like, They only have one purpose. It's to shoot and kill people or like deter someone from hurting you with the same weapon. It's like I've spent my whole life and I've never seen one. I've never held one in my hands. And you know, we all play violent video games and we don't have school shootings and you know.
I was wondering, does the fact that guns are less part of the conversation if and when a school shooting happens in the UK, what is the resulting moral panic is like, and how? I guess no. Let's narrow the question down further. Are video games a big part of the resulting moral panic? And
dude, the last time we had a school shooting, video games pretty much didn't exist.
Oh my God! Never mind. Did I just assume that it happens like once or twice at least in other countries, if not once or twice a year in America?
Dude, we have not had a school shooting since the one in Scotland, the Dunblane massacre, and that was it was 1996.
What a name!
Yeah, wow.
It happened in 1996,
over...
and 16 children died, and one teacher.
That was about 12 years ago.
And it was the deadliest mass shooting in British history. And after that, just everything changed, and then that was it. There was a ban on like ownership for handguns and everything.
People are smarter though. That's why they talk like that.
Jeez.
Oh man,
there are many who would attest to otherwise.
I'm pretty sure like all the Americans that are listening to the podcast that are like people I know really who love guns or from the army and they just kind of guns are just kind of part of them are getting very triggered right now. And that we cannot even understand the connection with pulling the trigger and releasing such a powerful weapon in your hand. I apologize to those people. I'm sorry, but I've had this argument a couple times at work, by the way, and I feel like since I grew up a certain way, I just feel like guns are more of a problem than anything. Then they don't really solve much.
Uh-oh.
Like I don't
Controversial opinion over here. Oh no, that something like that will start World War III.
Yeah. I'm gonna stop there. Go ahead, George.
Yeah. All right. So I was just gonna try to narrow the focus down to video games themselves, and if video games are a scapegoat because people are looking for them, as evident by whether or not video games become a scapegoat in other countries where people might have an easier scapegoat to look at and blame.
Literally, the idea of video games being like a violent issue is just an American thing. Like no one else. This
is not something you heard in the UK?
No, not at all.
Wow.
Like we haven't had incidents where you could blame video games, and every time we hear a story like this, it's a story from America. Like
you guys are amazing. In Germany, it's a thing.
You guys are amazing, but this just in the UK
Germany has a word for violent video games, like invented by concerned parents, and I guess the UK is different.
Is it to take heat off of gun laws?
Of course.
Just
that's the
real
goal
issue
of many a lobbying organization and activist is. Yeah, it's complicated. I don't want to get into that so much as don't blame video games. It's stupid. It's dumb. Everyone knows that video games are pieces of electronic entertainment that do not have sharp, pointy edges on them, nor do they have bladed edges, nor do they drill holes into surfaces at high speeds from long distances. You just kind of stick them in a box, and it makes a picture appear on the screen that can make you mad at kids on the internet. But
I mean, you can still kill somebody with a Splatoon gun, I think. Yeah.
A Splatoon gun.
Yeah. I mean, that's got to be violent too, right? Wouldn't that have to get censored as well? You could still technically drown someone in liquid with your big
All that ink probably isn't good if your skin absorbs too much of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have a purple tongue forever. So let's move on to questions.
I think it is getting to the point where I need to head into the studio today, and I don't really think there's going to be too many questions about esports trophies.
No worries, no worries.
But I want to thank y'all for having me on. I hope you enjoyed my ramblings about Celeste and Black Panther.
Thank you,
no problem.
Kyle.
It was
It's been a
wonderful.
pleasure
Thank you
having
for showing up, Kyle. And once again, what do you do, and where can people see your work that they might have already seen inadvertently anyway?
I am a prop maker. If you want to see the business that I work at during the day, that is Vulpin Props. Some very, very fantastic work there by my boss, Harrison. If you want to see my work, you can look up Cute Monster Props and find me on most social media channels, including Twitter at Cute Monster Props, as well as Instagram, Facebook, even though it's dying and needs to go away. I'm not on Vero. I don't have plans for that yet, but if it's not horrible and run by Russians, then we'll see.
Yay!
Well, make sure you close the door on your way out of the studio, please. Don't let the air out. Right?
We don't want any poo particles seeping into our electronics.
We're all in the same place, just in case the audience doesn't know. We're all
we have a studio
Thank you
now.
very much, Kyle.
Does no one know?
And we're going to be doing some listener questions to wrap up the podcast with. If you have the preponderance of inquisitiveness, if you want to know what I think about anything, if you want to know what Matt thinks about non-platonic nudity, if you want to know what Liam thinks about terrorist houses, if you want to know what I think about anime, then send your questions to dadandsonspodcast at gmail.com. I got 3 for us this week. First up, Ryan is asking, Dear Dad and Sons, my question is, what do you think are some of the differences between Japan's retro video game culture and the retro video game cultures in the US and the UK? Such as trends, mentality, perception, market, and pricing. What are considered highly collectible games and hardware? What's rare? What's popular? And thanks for making an amazing podcast. You guys are an absolute joy to listen to. Keep having fun. Thanks, Ryan. I got real nervous at the end, though, when you got real complimentary.
Thanks, Ryan.
Things are very cheap in Japan compared to the U.S., because the U.S. is scumbags.
Yeah, retro video gaming is more of a mainstream hobby, so there's, like, more supply and demand.
It's 2 parts that and 2 parts something else. One big thing a lot of people don't know about Japan is it takes fucking ages for a lot of people in Japan to move on to the next generation. Like, most people are still playing PlayStation 3 in Japan. There is a high sale figures in the Switch and the PlayStation 4, but it usually, especially in the West, we just straight up drop shit and move on, like, immediately.
Yeah.
Like, day one, get a PlayStation 4, day one, get a Switch. Like, we're coming up to almost a year since the Switch has been out, and all 3 of us own one.
Yep.
But in Japan, like, you'll be hard-pressed to find someone, like, who's Japanese, who actually has, like, taken the plunge and owned one. A lot of people don't move on because they're comfortable, and also, like, it's expensive to move on to the next generation. Like, Japan is not cheap when it comes to buying brand new games. They're like $70 to $80 in Japan. 7,000 to 8,000 yen for a brand new PlayStation 4 game. So a lot of people just opt to just continue playing older games because one thing, as Matt pointed out, games become cheap in Japan. Like, you can pick up like a copy of Final Fantasy VI boxed and all for like 2,000 yen, $20, $18. Like, stuff like that doesn't have the kind of same sentimental value that we give it in the West. You're like, oh my god, Chrono Trigger. I played that when I was like 8. Oh my god, this is so rad. No one talks about this anymore. Like, that doesn't happen in Japan.
Buys it, puts it on the shelf, never to be touched
played
again.
Chrono Trigger. Everyone Chrono Trigger was not that special of a thing. It was like a mainstream piece of entertainment pop culture.
But this is the thing, what I kind of like about Japan is when you see, like, some, like, kind of maybe older dudes, like, browsing through the NES games, and they're, like, searching through, you know, they're not, like, picking it up for a collection. They're actually, like, searching through for a new game to play. Which is, like, so cool. I really like that. Like, they're just, like, browsing through boxes and boxes of, like, 200 to 300 yen labeled, like, NES games. And they are genuinely looking for something to play, not to put on their collection. Like, collecting in Japan is kind of a thing, but everyone's apartment's really small, so space is limited. So not many people can really do that. It's all about just kind of playing, and there is a big emphasis in Japan on second-hand culture. Like, you buy something, you use it, you sell it, and everyone in Japan keeps things in good condition. Usually second-hand stores, I buy everything I own pretty much from second-hand stores in Japan because they are treated with such care that they're like new, but they're half the price. So there are so many secondhand stores in Japan that just sell CDs, DVDs, Blu-rays, video games, video game consoles, figures, everything. It's just like a huge market in Japan. It's kind of... You'd be hard-pressed to find a town that doesn't have a secondhand store with video games in it. It's just so openly and readily available here.
And I remember seeing old people even going in the arcades, like, looking for stuff. And the audience you see in those retro game stores, like span demographics you don't see in the States. There's a lot more people in there. There's different kinds of people of, like, different age and gender groups that are all buying this stuff. They all know what Chrono Trigger is. It's not... Chrono Trigger is not specialized knowledge.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Long Steve from Glasgow. He asked, George often talks about bang for buck in games he buys, so I'm curious, what is the most bang for buck you all have gotten from video games? Mine is probably the Stalker series with their countless overhaul mods.
Is this like monetary value, or are we talking like time spent?
Let's say like bang per buck, I guess function of like money over time. I have two good candidates, and they're like the two games I've played the most.
God, I think
so that is time spent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I bought Oblivion's Game of the Year edition, like used from Xbox for Xbox 360 long time ago. Like way after it was out. I think it was like $20 or so. I can't remember. I think it was pretty cheap. And man, did I play the hell out of that game. I had like nothing to do for a couple days, and I just sat there and had plates and stuff in my room. I was just playing that all the way through, getting all the achievements. I think that would have to be my best bang for my buck, for sure. $20 of entertainment. I mean, movie tickets are super expensive here. Like 2 hours of entertainment for there, but like here I had hours, like just days and days and days and days of fun, like straight up fun. Yeah,
I got New Vegas on sale for $30. Played 80 hours of the main game's storylines. I did all the DLCs. I installed a bunch of mods, dicked around them for days. And that was $30, like 3 months after launch. Don't buy video games on launch, kids.
Damn, 30 days?
Or $30 about 3 months after launch.
3 days?
My bad.
How the hell?
No. 3 months after launch for $30.
Oh, okay.
Not
Wait
3
a minute.
days.
No, I switched it up. Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, just want to clarify my butter there.
Your butter.
It's kind of hard to not just be like, well, I spent 400 hours playing League of Legends and that game was free. but I eventually spent like $300 on it, so that doesn't count. But when I moved to Japan, someone gave me like I really like the Persona games, and the Persona dancing game for the PlayStation Vita had come out, and it'd come out in Japan, and it wasn't out in English yet. But you know, you could play it Vita region free. It didn't have that much Japanese menus on it and that kind of thing. And someone who I was working with when I first moved to Japan gifted it to me. They bought it for me and gave it to me. And I played that thing for like 2 years straight on every train journey, every bus journey I went on, because you could just like whip that game out, play like a couple of songs because it's a rhythm game, you know, you don't have to put any kind of effort into it. And I would just play it like constantly, like on buses and trains, hours and hours. I must have played that game for like 100 hours for sure in total for all of the trips. Like bustling around Japan, just playing some Persona tunes from Persona 4. Yeah, I think probably that game. I mean, I didn't pay anything for it, but I got so much out of it.
That's such a Japanese thing. Like
Playing
having
PlayStation,
like
Vita
turning
on
the
a train.
tunes into like monetizing the songs.
Oh man, but the
In a
Persona
way.
4 soundtrack is so good.
Yeah.
There was something I wanted to talk about in this episode, but I didn't get a chance to. That features the Persona soundtrack. But we'll save that for another day.
Okay. In the meantime, we got one last question from Blues Piranha. as just what a great mental image. It's like a piranha in a bowler cap and sunglasses. My question to you, are there any games in a series that you love that you feel got overshadowed by other games in the franchise, even if they might be better in your opinion, either because they're newer or because they tried something different? A game in a series that you feel got snubbed by the sequels being better, but maybe
Yakuza
not
3.
to you. And
Yakuza...
which one? That's like your fave that you feel
was
got overshadowed?
like that was like my introduction to the series.
The Virgin and
That was basically
you'll fall in love with the first one.
Well, it wasn't the first one in the West, but it was the first one that got popular. Not popular. I want to say it was the turning point. The turning point in when the West became suddenly obsessed with the Yakuza series. It was the first one on PlayStation 3. It was you know, Kazuya, he'd retired. Like he was like living it up in Okinawa. He was running an orphanage, and he was getting like sort of embroiled in like local politics in Okinawa. But it was kind of like a spin-off episode of like a TV show where just like wacky adventures on a foreign island happened to the main character, and no one really liked it compared to like Yakuza 4, Yakuza 5, where you could play multiple characters, and obviously Yakuza 0 being probably the highest rated in the series. But I loved Yakuza 3, and it was like the game that game shot up like to like my top all favorite games of all time. It's got such emotion in it, and it's really good, but it gets completely overshadowed by Yakuza 4 and Yakuza 5. I really like that game.
Yeah, Yakuza 3 though, that's the one with the orphanage, right?
Yeah.
That game rightly so deserved to get popular though, because like I'm with you. I still have not yet played a Yakuza game to completion, but I've played 1, 2, 3, and 4. I've played hours of all the first 4. And 3 has such a good hook in the beginning.
Like Yakuza 3, like the ending is kind of like the ending of Metal Gear Solid 4, but instead of like, you know, a plane, you're like fighting on the top of a skyscraper in Tokyo, but like with no t-shirt on, with your Yakuza tattoos poking out. Oh, it's so good. Such a good game.
Matt, do you got one for this question?
I would like to see Dragon Age Origins, but everything after sucked.
And no one talks about Origins anymore either.
Everyone talks about Inquisition. That is true.
Well, I mean, Inquisitions was fine. It was fine. I mean, it was fine. 2 wasn't good.
No, 2 was not good.
It was not good. Thank you, Liam. Yeah. You know good games.
Just no bad ones.
And I can't think of much. So I'll do Gears of War, the first one. It's kind of one of my favorite games of all time. As far as shooters go, it's just unbelievable fun.
You think people like Gears of War 3 better than Gears of War 1?
I think 2 and 3 does overshadow. At least 2 does overshadow 1. Like, everyone forgets about 1 after 2. Because 2 did improve a lot of things, and I would say 2 might be the better game in some cases. They always, Cliffy B always found a way to mess things up, to be honest. You know, like, he always figured out to mess something up. But I think Gears of War was probably kind of one of my favorites to start off. Still, I will go back and play that because it just simple. It's just extremely simple. Nothing was added to the game to like mess it up. It was just clear shotgun, sniper, lancer. That's it. You know, you had some other things, but it wasn't crazy. It was super simple, and I love super simple mechanics because within that you can create other things that kind of balance things out, like wall bouncing and all that. And some people don't like that, but wall bouncing is awesome. That make it a complicated game. So it's easy to get into, hard to master. Is what I like about Gears of War 1, even though it was a little broken at times. But yeah, I say Gears of War.
George, do you have one? Because I have actually just thought of 2 that are very similar that I like.
I got one that Matt might be on the same page as me about, and that's The Witcher 1 compared to the sequels.
I knew you were going to say that for some reason.
I like
it's janky as fuck, but everyone loves it.
Yeah,
I like 1 better than 2. I don't know if I like 1 better than 3.
Hell
I don't
no.
even know if they're in the same league.
No.
Hell no.
1 is, I definitely enjoyed Witcher 1 better than 2 and got really confused at everyone else's opinion being different than that. Because The Witcher 1 has much more of a satisfying just like feel to the gameplay, which is weird for me to say. It's a lot got to do with the menus. Like The Witcher 1, you can tell was a made for PC game. It's got a grid style inventory system. The journals are like pages overlaid on the screen that look like paper. Everything you press in the interface is fast and responsive. In The Witcher 2, they've made that transition over to like scale form goop tech. That like has some macromedia flash in it, the really standardized multimedia, multi-platform game menu that has everything feeling a little more laggy for the sake of elaborate animations. And that's just one thing that I feel like is emblematic of how different the 2 games are. The Witcher 2 was a shorter game meant for a more closed platform with less control scheme options, and I want to say a less of a hearty, soulful story compared to Witcher 1, which is like this glorious Eurojank made for PC RPG that had a story that was an amalgamation of adaptions from the book with its own incredibly uninteresting spin of turning these books into a game. But the Witcher 2 story, I believe, is all entirely original, and you can kind of tell, whereas a lot of The Witcher 1 just remakes scenarios from the books. And I almost feel like the writing was at a better place in that first game because of it, even though the stuff that was original is way lower than the bar set by the stuff that's the adaptation of the books. At least with The Witcher 1, you got shitloads of good side quests that are sticking to the brand. Same deal in The Witcher 3. In The Witcher 2, they do a lot that I did not like in comparison to the first.
Although I would argue that Mario Kart 8 on Switch and I think Smash 4 is the best Smash game, bar none, I really, really like Mario Kart Wii. I love that game. And I really like Smash Brothers Brawl.
Whoa.
Those
are 2 mainstays at MagFest, believe it or not.
Okay, tripping aside, you all tripping. I get it. Yeah. Tripping was
I thought you were
stupid.
going to say the first Smash Brothers, but you went with a sequel.
No, I'm gonna go the second sequel. The later sequel. I spent so many. I don't know whether it was like my nostalgia years of getting high and drunk while just playing games in university, but Mario Kart Wii was the one that was out when I was in university, and Smash Brothers Brawl was the Smash game that was out when I was at university. And man, Mario Kart Wii, I was so good at that game. I got world record times on like Cooper Cape and stuff like that. I played that game to death. And then Smash Brothers Brawl, it had like fucking Solid Snake in it. It was a great Smash Brothers game that had great stages. It had freaking Snake in it. It was good, but fair enough. They get overshadowed by, Melee definitely overshadows Brawl next to Smash 4, which, I love Smash 4 to death, and I think it is the best Smash Brothers game. And also, of course, Mario Kart Wii kind of is like the black sheep that...
You haven't heard the Mario Kart one before.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who play Mario Kart quite not competitively, but seriously, they'll be like Double Dash or Mario Kart 8 on Switch is definitely the most well-rounded and polished one. But man, you can't beat Daisy on a bike on Cooper Cape from the Wii game. I love that shit. Pressing up on the Wiimote D-pad to do wheelies. Ah, so good.
You might be pleased to know that all 4 times I've been at MagFest, there have been stations upon stations upon stations of both those games set up.
Well, someone fly me out to MagFest. Come on.
There's a lot of kids who want people who want to just throw down some Mario Kart Wii or some Smash Brawl.
There you go.
But don't want to say so on the internet.
We're putting it out there. If you want to throw down a Mario Kart Wii or Brawl, make a Dad and Sons panel at MagFest and fly me out. There you go.
Exchange friend codes. Get your Wii network adapters plugged in.
Yep. Get your like 16
that old interface from like 2006.
Get your 16-digit like.
and mail in your insurance and social security details to dadandsonspodcast.com at dadandsonspodcast@gmail.com and we can get the tournament set up. And without further ado, that pretty much wraps us up this week.
Yeah.
Thanks again for showing up. Thanks again for listening. It was fun. I had fun.
We had fun.
I had a fun.
We had fun.
We had fun.
We had fun.
One whole fun.
Discord decided to fuck up and was just all I heard was first George said fun, and then like 10 seconds later, Matt just said fun,